Hello and welcome to the webinar for Key Action 1, Mobility Between Programme Countries. Please note that this is a pre-recorded webinar. If you have any questions after watching this webinar, please contact the Erasmus Higher Education Help Desk. The contact details are at the end of the presentation. Please note that this webinar does include audio, so you do need to ensure that you can hear us. There is no chat or question facility as it is pre-recorded, and this session is to provide information on completing the application form. Today's agenda: making an application, so what the process you need to complete before you can start the form, and then the application form itself, and then next steps. For Key Action 1 Higher Education, there is only one application round. The deadline for this is the 2nd of February 2016, 11 o'clock UK time. The application is online via an eForm which has to be submitted by 11 o'clock on the 2nd of February 2016. There are two stages of pre-registration process. First, you need to register on ECAS, the European Commission Authentication Service, and log into the participant portal to register on the unique registration facility, also known as the participants portal. Once you've registered on the participant portal, you are then given a PIC number, also participant identification code. If your institution has taken part with Erasmus Plus previously or with European Commission research funding, then you will more than likely already have a PIC and you should continue to use this. This slide contains the direct link to the ECAS registration site and also guidance for registering. Please use your organisation's generic and current email address. This slide contains the link to the participant portal. Please register your organisation there to get a PIC number if you have not done so previously. As I said earlier on, if you already have a PIC, please continue using it. And if you are unsure, there is a search function within the participant portal. There should only be one PIC per organisation. After completing step 1 and 2, you will have been registered on ECAS and have your participant identification code. You will need your PIC when you start filling out your application form. So this is the link where you can download the application eForm for Key Action 1 Mobility Between Programme Countries, also known as Key Action 103. There is also a link for a partner mandate for those that are going to apply on behalf of a consortium. The third link is also to let you know where we'll be publishing our guidance. We're just going to have a look at eligibility. Your application will fail eligibility checks if there are missing supporting documents, if your organisation is not an eligible organisation type, if your application is submitted after the deadline, and if you're unsure of any application details, please do contact us. Please note, all grants are paid in euros. It is strongly recommended that you use a euro bank account to avoid any exchange rate losses. Having an account in euros does benefit and means you don't lose any of your grant that you were then awarded. And it is important the name on your bank account matches the name of your organisation. If it's not possible, do contact us and we can then talk about other options. So now we're going to have a look at the main aspects of the application form. Okay, so this is the application form. So, general information, this is just some information for you. Section B is the context. You need to ensure that it is for learning mobility of individuals as the key action. Action type, higher education, student and staff mobility within programme countries. The call is 2016. This is round 1. Deadline for submission will say 02/02/2016, 12 o'clock. That's Brussels time. In the UK, it will be 11 o'clock. So the only option that you have to complete in this section is the language used. So we're going to use English. Section B1, project identification. All mobilities for Key Action 103 will begin from the 1st of June 2016. Here you're able to select whether or not it is a 16-month or a 24-month project. So we're going to go with 16 months for our form. And you'll see that it automatically populates that the end date of the project will be the 30th of September 2017. Section B2 is the national agency of the applicant organisation. UK institutions need to ensure that they select UK 01, United Kingdom. Participating organisations, in this pink box you need to insert your PIC number for your institution. So I'm going to use just a dummy PIC here. And then you check PIC. You do need to ensure that you are connected to the internet in order for this to happen. Or you could get some problems like this. So we're going to trust this document always. We'll see if this helps. Okay. So let's check our PIC again. Okay, so I am sorry about that little technical issue, but as you can see, it can be easily fixed. So we've put our PIC in, we've checked it, and it's completed with our organisation details. In C.1.1 profile, this information pulls through from the information that's been registered for your organisation on the participant portal, so within the PIC. So, for C.1.2 consortium, are you applying on behalf of consortium? You're able to select yes or no. I'm not applying on behalf of a consortium, so I'm going to select no. In C.1.3 accreditation, it will automatically populate the accreditation type that's been awarded to your institution and your PIC, if it has been validated previously under the Erasmus Plus programme, then your PIC code will be registered to your Erasmus code that you're awarded when you're awarded your Erasmus Charter for Higher Education. So in the accreditation reference, this will automatically populate with your Erasmus code. C.1.4, legal representative. This is where you need to insert the data of who is going to be signing the grant agreement on behalf of your institution. You need to make sure that this does match up with the information and the signature signing the Declaration of Honour at the end of this. If it doesn't match, then it can cause a delay to processing your application and could potentially make it ineligible. So, just going to fill this in quickly. If the organisation data and the legal representative address is different, then you can actually tick this box and insert an address for them. So if they're based at somewhere completely different to where is stated for your institution in the applicant organisation information. One thing to note also, if your legal representative changes throughout the project, you do need to let us know. We do have a form available on our website. It's an easy process. Okay, this next section is the contact person. So this is to be completed for the contact information of the project coordinator, who's going to be the first point of contact, who is going to receive the grant agreement, and who is just basically going to manage the project. Just going to fill this in again quickly. This year you are actually asked whether or not this person is going to be the OLS contact person. So the OLS, for those that aren't aware, the OLS is the online linguistic support system that is required for students that are undertaking a mobility that's not going to be in their native language. So UK students that aren't going to be studying in English. So again, saying, yes, I am the OLS contact person. Again, you've got a little checklist here, a little checkbox if the address is different from the one of the organisation. So if you press that, you're then able to insert an alternative email, an alternative address, sorry. Another function that's new this year is you're actually able to add additional contact persons. So you can fill this in. If, for instance, the main coordinator isn't going to be the OLS contact, you can then select somebody else. I'm just going to quickly fill this in with my alternative contact. And as you can see, you're able to include up to another 2 other coordinators. So this next section, section D, is the main activities. And this is where you're going to report the activities that you're expecting for your project. So you're able to apply for student studies, traineeships, teaching and training. So in requested, what you need to do is you need to insert the total number of participants. So for instance, we're going to have 50 students. So you need to talk in the total duration, full month section, the total number of months, cumulative. So for these 50 students, they're going to be away for 10 months each. Instead of writing 10 months, you need to then write 500 months. The column for extra days is because the European Commission calculates that a month is 30 days long. If a student is away for 0.5 of a month, then that will be 15 days. If you have multiples of part months, you add them up to total full months, and anything left become extra days. So let's say we've got half a month extra, we put in 15 extra days. So the estimated for 2015-16, this is from your interim report, which will be completed at the end of February for students and March for staff. So you need to talk about how many figures, how many participants you're going to be sending for 2015-16. So again, got 50 students, 10 months each, 500 months. If you've got nothing to put in a column in the cell, just insert a 0. And for the actual, you're going to be reporting on your 2014-15 figures. So for 16-month projects, they would have just, at the end of November, you would have had an idea what your figures were. So again, in my project, I had 50 students for 10 months each. So once you've completed one activity, you then need to press Add Activity, and then you will do it again for that particular activity you're going to select. One thing to bear in mind is for students, as you'll notice, you have pink columns where you can insert. The total duration days is greyed out, and for staff, the total duration full months and extra days is greyed out, where the total duration days is in pink. This is because for students, you don't report the days, that's only for staff, and for staff, the full months and extra days only refers to the students. So for staff teaching, I'm only having 5 members of staff. They're going to go away for 5 days each, so that's 25 days. Estimated, again from the 2015-16 project, we're just going to go with 5 in 5 days. And again for the actual figures from 2014, you'll insert them here. You are able to remove activity, but one thing to bear in mind, if you do end up creating and adding activities for each of the different activity types, the remove activity will remove the most recently added one. Section D1.1 is the summary of activities of participants. So this actually drags the information from the previous section. So this will populate with the information that you have just basically put in. So make sure that that is all correct. And then we go on to section E, the Erasmus policy statement. So the Erasmus policy statement is what was included in your institution's Erasmus Charter of Higher Education, ECHE, application. Institutions are required to have this online within 1 month of receiving the ECHE. We do have a link in our guidance that takes you to the ECHE principles and annotated guidance that provides this statement about it being online. So this does need to be inserted here, the web address. If you're applying on behalf of a consortium, you won't actually see this because it only relates to HEIs that have been awarded an ECHE. Then we have section F, which is the checklist. So you need to ensure that you've ticked off all of these boxes. So you need to ensure that you have the declaration of honour signed by the legal representative, which we will actually get in the next page. I do recommend that you do read this. Data protection notice. This is the Commission's data protection notice, and there's more information via this link. Section H, the Declaration of Honour. So this is to be printed and is to be signed by the legal representative that you have had stated at the beginning of your application form. The legal representative must have the legal authority to sign on behalf of your institution. And as you can see, there is a Print Declaration of Honour button here. Pressing this, it will allow you to print the Declaration of Honour. You need to ensure that this is completed all these sections do need to be completed in the parts where it states. So next to signature, please ensure that the signature is there and not somewhere else on this page. So once you've printed that off, you then need to scan that into your computer and then you will save it. I recommend somewhere on your desktop so it's easy to find. Then you will need it for this next section, which is section I, annexes. So what you do, in order to add something, press the add button and then a pop-up will appear and then you are able to add it in there. So the only things for 103 applications that you need is the declaration of honour. If you are applying on behalf of a consortium, then a partner mandate will be required as well. So now we go on to this next section, which is the submission section. In J.1, data validation, there is a validate button. As you'll notice, there is a validate button in the corner of each page. You can press this each time you reach the end of a page if you wish. However, it does check all the way through the system, all the way through the page, so it will bring up if you haven't completed any fields further on in the form. So we're going to press the validate button, okay, so that this reference box needs to be completed and it will come up with something here. So it does take you to where it needs to be validated. So if there's anything that is in pink, it means that it is required to be completed. Okay, now everything's been completed. I've validated it. This form is valid. Okay, then what you do is you then press submit online. I do also recommend that you print the form so you have it for your records. So once you press submit, it will go into the system and a checklist will then appear which says that it's been submitted online and the status is okay. If you're having problems submitting it, there is an alternative submission procedure. It's stated in our guidance, including the email address to send your application form to. It has to be sent to us within 2 hours of the official deadline, so by 1 o'clock on the 2nd of February. You have to also send a screenshot of your submission summary, which is in J.4, which will state that it's not been successfully submitted. Also, one thing to note, by submitting by the alternative submission procedure, it doesn't mean that your application is guaranteed to be accepted. It does have to pass to a council first, who will look at all the evidence provided as to whether there was a technical issue, and then it will be decided whether or not the application form is deemed eligible or not. And then that takes you to the end of the application form. So we're going to have a quick look at the activities details again, because they are quite confusing. In 2014, you just had to write what the average was for the mobilities, but they changed it in 2015 and it was a little bit confusing. So let's just have another quick look. So now we've looked at the application form in full, let's look at these more closely. So taking the example that we had in the form, 50 students going away for 10 months, so 50 times 10 equals 500. And then you also have 30 students who are going away for 3.5 months. And although half a month is 15 days, we're going to make it a little bit more confusing and make it 16 days. So 30 students times 3 months equals 90 months. 30 students times 16 days equals 480 days. So what you then need to do is, because 480 days is obviously longer than a month, you need to calculate the 480 days into number of months. So to do this, you just divide by 30. And so the answer is 16. So we now have 16 months to add to our 90 months. Okay, let's try another tricky one. 5 students on 4 months and 27 days mobilities. 5 students times 4 months equals 20 months. 5 students times 27 days equals 135 days. So again, well over a month. So we divide the 135 by 30 and get 4.5 months. So now we have all our figures. It's time to add them all up and report them. So in blue, you can see that we had made a total of 85 students. In the number of months, we had a total of 630 months, and the 0.5, 15 days extra days. So this is just to show you again what the table looks like. So in that first column, you would insert the total number of participants. So in our case, we would have put 85 students in the total number of participants requested. In the total duration of full months, we would write 630 months, and then in the extra days, we would write 15. So to conclude, I'd like to remind you of the support the UK National Agency will be providing in the run-up to the 2nd of February deadline for applications to be submitted under Key Action 1 Higher Education. There will be written guidance available. We recommend that you have it with you when you're completing your form, as it is very detailed and will help you complete all the sections of your application. Also, if at any stage of your application you do have any queries, please contact us straight away. And these are our contact details. So our team at the UK National Agency is available every day, Monday to Friday, to answer any queries. Our email address, erasmus@britishcouncil.org. Our telephone number, 02920 924311. If you do have any questions, feel free to contact us. And thank you very much.